Right, and we are live. Hello, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports, and it is back after a 2-month sabbatical with the rugby calendar ramping up. We are officially bringing back the Rugby News Live show. This will be live 3 times a week. It'll be with myself, Stevie P, and basically what we're going to be doing, we're going to be chatting about the latest rugby rumors, news, discussions, having a chat about whatever's going on, getting your thoughts involved as well, and just really sort of chatting rugby for half an hour, and really enjoy the show, and very excited to have it back. As I said, it has been a bit of a quiet few months of rugby, but now as things are really starting to get back to the normal swing of things, I suppose, then we are getting back to sort of usual programming, as they would say. And so we'll be live today, we'll be live tomorrow, and we'll be live on Thursday for your 3 rugby news shows. That doesn't mean that any of the other videos will stop, by the way. We'll still have, obviously, any sort of breaking news updates up on the channel where and when it is possible. So coming up in the next half an hour, we're going to be talking about Jan Serfontein to the Bulls. We're going to be talking about Cobus Visa to the Bulls. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Six Nations and the matches this weekend. We'll talk a little bit about Dwayne Vermeulen, and we'll talk a little bit about the Springboks sort of calendar year. And if there's any sort of rugby news that comes up, we'll also talk a little bit about that. We'll sort of go to a bit of a breakdown of what some of the transfer rumors are for across the various different leagues, teams, and stuff like that. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. Please do subscribe so you can be part of this. It's a very interactive show. It'll take time to get going again, but once we do get it going, then very much looking forward to having all the debate and all the opinions and stuff like that, or they're in the chat. So get your questions and get any sort of topics you'd like to discuss into that chat as well, and we can go through all of that then as well. Right, so let's get into it, shall we? And we're going to start with Jan Serfontein. So the former Springbok centre, or Springbok centre, he's currently playing, 30 years old, has been playing overseas in the top 14 for Montpellier for a number of years, playing very well as well. In fact, I think potentially if he'd been playing the way he'd been playing over there for a South African team, then I think could have potentially been part of a Springbok squad and maybe in the World Cup mix. He's been playing so well. He's played 35 matches for the Springboks between 2013 and 2017. His Springbok career basically coinciding with his move to Montpellier about 7 years ago, I think it is officially, where he's gone to play over 100 times for Montpellier. Now, there was a story, a rumor that he was going to be ending his time overseas and making his return back to South Africa with the Bulls, and both the Sharks very much linked to his return. But apparently, he is just decided to extend with Montpellier and will not be returning to South Africa. And apparently the Bulls are very surprised about this because as far as they understood, that this was pretty much a done deal. So there's an article that came out yesterday from Network 2024, and that is what we're going to talk about today. So over here it says that according to reports in France, 30-year-old has put pen to paper on a new contract, which will see him stay at the top 14 club for another year at least, if not another 2 years. Apparently, according to Network 24, the Bulls have been left stunned by this. Apparently, the company had already paid for Serfontain's wages in their player budget and was very much planning on having him next season. Apparently, Edgar Rathbone has told F24 that Serfontein has asked to remain with Montpellier for another year due to personal reasons. So that often kind of potentially means that financial, whether it's a case of, the offer from the Montpellier is probably going to be a lot more than what the Bulls are going to offer him. Maybe something's happened recently, which means that extra bit of money is really important. I think that had he returned, I think he could have put himself into that Springbok mix, to be honest. As I said, he's 30 years old. He's 31 in April. So not on the young side, but so experienced, for example. And that's something that the Springbok coaches of recently have really appreciated. And they're very much not going to rule out a player or dismiss a player due to their age. Deon Free making his debut, as the oldest Springbok of all time. And playing in World Cup finals at 30, 38, 39 years old, captaining the Boks towards the end of that World Cup final. So yeah, the Springboks very much are not a team that looks at ages with too much intent. It's about what they can offer there and now. What can they offer for the next 2 years, for example? How do they fit into the plan? And I think Jan Serfontein is a player that could fit into most plans. I think he's got everything he needs. For example, he is quite a complete player. scored plenty of points for the Boks when he was playing. And there's no reason why I don't think he could potentially get back into that mix. So it's sad for South African rugby that he will not be making his return. Because I think it would be really nice to have him to add him to the mix. I mean, from a Lions supporter, it's nice that the Bulls are not getting another, world-class player just to add to their very ridiculously stacked backline. But yeah, again, I mean, from a South African perspective, you want to see the best players back down here. And when you think of seeing Currie, Lawrence, Willie LaRue, Kane Moody, Stefan Hans, the way he's playing. Even David Kriel, and you start adding a Jan Serfontein into that mix with Jan Goosen, for example, the way Ambrose Pierce playing, Jakob van der Walt. That's kind of what we want to see, isn't it? We want to see the best players being back here. But unfortunately, it does sound like he has decided to remain in top 14 for an additional season. Where he goes after that, time will tell, but at this stage will not be playing his rugby in South Africa next season. Somebody that will apparently be playing his rugby in South Africa next season, and for the Bulls, is Cobus Wiese, who, former Stormers player, is 26 years old, can play on the flank and lock, and he himself has confirmed that he will be returning to South Africa. So in an interview he gave to Report, he talked about his excitement about making the move back to South Africa and joining the Bulls. He has been at the Sale Sharks since 2020. Moving just after COVID, and after that, obviously played his rugby for the Stormers. So that's a pretty big move. I think that again, he's a player who probably has future ambitions of playing potential Springbok rugby. Is going into the peak of his powers. He turns 27 in June, so he's really going into his sort of prime as a rugby player. So I think it's a good time to be making such a move. If we look at his career, the 1.97, 120 odd kg. Flanker played through the Stormers in 2017 before making that move in 2020. He was a former South African schools player as well as a junior Springbok on 5 occasions. So he's very much done the junior parts of his rugby career with the Springboks, and then made a move to the Premiership. He has played a lot of rugby for Sale Sharks. But this is what he had to say in that interview. He said, I really want to believe that returning to South Africa now is the best for my career. It's great to get this opportunity with the Bulls. They're building something special. He said that South African rugby is in an incredible place. They are not only competitive, but largely dominate. It's different from when I left South Africa in 2020. I think they are an incredible opportunity for players who want to return from overseas. Apparently, family is a big return or a big factor to his return. He said, in June, we were blessed with a baby girl. She is now 6 months old. She's only met her father after 6 months. It's important for us to be close to family. We want to give the family the chance to be close enough to visit. I assume his family's in Cape Town. One will always think the green is grass on the other side, but after 4 years out of your country, you not only miss your family, but also the weather and the people. I can't tell you how excited I am to return to South Africa. And obviously looking very much forward to potentially maybe even making a step up to Springboks and joining his older brother Jasper Wiese, who's a World Cup winner now. So very exciting times for the Bulls to be able to bring somebody like Cobus Wiese into the setup. I also think that the comments made is very important. The fact that he said that go back to 2020, there were no reasons to stay here. The prospects were really bad. And it only made sense to go overseas. So for him to now be able to sit there and say there are some great opportunities to come back to South Africa, hopefully means that financially, obviously in a bit of a better situation, and that we can make attractive offers to bring our players back to the country and hopefully really start to rebuild our domestic structures with world-class players rather than just having to bring up juniors and sort of making them into great players before losing them. Which has kind of been the situation recently. Up next, let's talk about a couple of rumours. So we've got a couple of transfer rumours and a couple of worldwide ones. We'll just sort of go through the list a little bit and talk a little bit about who's looking to go where and some of the interesting moves and stuff like that. So this is according to an article on Planet Rugby by Jared Wright, who does a very good sum up of all the various transfers across the globe. And obviously, we'll start up with Dwayne Vermeulen to join the Springbok setup. We did a video on that yesterday, so if you have missed it, go and check it out. Talks about the fact that Dwayne Vermeulen is allegedly set for a high-ranking role in SA Rugby, where he will be working directly with Rassie Erasmus, with the Springboks, as well as potentially other age groups, apparently taking on some of the duties that Rassie Erasmus actually performed as director of rugby, given the fact that he is about to step back from his to direct a rugby role and focus primarily on just coaching the Springboks. So that was the rumor yesterday. Speaking of players going to a coaching gig, Ruan Pienaar is apparently in negotiations and set to be offered a coaching role at Cheetahs when he hangs up his boots at the end of the season. They did ask him to step in and play another season, and he obviously agreed to that. But now apparently he is looking to Serfontein, who's the Cheetahs director of rugby, is looking to bring him in the coaching line. Serfontein said that Ruan has so much knowledge of the game and experience. We would like to involve him. He will add a lot of value. I think he will. I think he's a player who reads the game so well. He's always been a very good leadership figure, for example. Can play at 9, 10, play at 15. So he's quite a dynamic player. And I think that having that experience of playing various different positions gives you a new appreciation to the game, a different outlook on the game. And I think in that regard, I think it does make him pretty set and pretty well prepared to go into coaching. And I'm very interested to see how many of these players who are going into coaching, how they do fare. Obviously not all of them will be success stories, but I think there are certain players who I think will make very good coaches. I do think that Ruan Pienaar will be one of them. We spoke about Jan Serfontein staying in France, for example. But the big news in England is that Lewis Laidlaw is going to be departing Northampton Saints, and he'll be making a move to the top 14. Which is where Carl Sinclair, his fellow England teammate, has gone as well. So a lot of the English players continuing to make that move to the top 14, so showing you how the top 14 can continue to flex their money, whilst the Premiership's obviously under quite a lot of pressure with regards to their finances, given the fact that teams have been going, bankrupt and going up and going under, and that Premiership is really under a lot of pressure to try and make themselves financially viable as a league and as teams in the league, because we have seen what is going on there. So apparently Lewis Laidlaw is making a move, and Courtney Lawes apparently is going to Brewer, which is a Pro D2 outfit. So he is also looking to leave at the end of the season. So big losses there for Northampton Saints. Elsewhere, we've got a rumor that Johan Schoeman, who is playing for Bath, has signed a deal with the Lions and will depart the Premiership side at the end of the season to make his move back to South Africa. We talked about Pumas Vista heading home. Apparently Bevan Rodd has re-signed with his club until 2027. Johnny May is going to be leaving Gloucester apparently, and is speaking to Saracens. And looking at some URC action, for example, Scott Cummins has extended his contract with Glasgow. Roy Sutherland is apparently going to join the Glasgow Warriors from Edinburgh, and after being released from Ulster, he was then playing top 14 for Oyonnax, and now has been making his move to Glasgow Warriors on a potential 2-year deal. So we could be seeing him moving back to the URC. Cardiff have confirmed Callum Sheedy. Apparently a couple of other players looking to make the move and stuff and extend their contracts. So lots of movement over there. We'll talk a little bit more of those in our various shows and stuff like that. But yeah, for until then, that's kind of some of the rumours swirling around in the rugby world. And then finally, let's talk a little bit of Six Nations, shall we? Because there's a lot going on in the Six Nations. We had our first round, and an interesting round. And I look for the big thing, I think, obviously, is how good Ireland looked. But I think promising signs from Italy, promising signs from Wales. England, whilst they got the victory in the end, and maybe didn't look all that convincing at all times, I think it took a step forward. I think you could see there was an England side trying things. I think a couple of players who could have exciting futures. So I think that all Six Nations sides are in very interesting situations. Ironically, I think, France under a bit of pressure now. Fabien Galtier, who's, not ever been under pressure, for example, from the sack or anything like that. Now feeling a bit of heat, given the fact that they were so easily outplayed by Ireland on Friday. And, at the end of the day, it's all very well, being this French side, which has won some big games. It's beaten New Zealand in New Zealand, for example, but came up short in the World Cup, potentially coming up short once again in the Six Nations. And for a golden generation in this French team, probably, the expectations are greater than what is currently being delivered. So a very, very interesting period of time, I think, now for France. But again, I think, England, Wales, both, in rebuilds, in new coaches, Italy as well, a new era as well. So we've got 3 teams who are all going to be starting their sort of new World Cup cycle, where I think a lot's going to change with regards to playing style, potentially player personnel. We already saw a couple of debuts. We've seen a couple of young Welsh players. The youngest captain in Wales history. So it was positive to see that it's changed. That there were moments and that there were aspects of the games over the weekend where they really were taking steps forward, trying new things. Whether it's going to work or not, that only time will tell. But at the end of the day, when it comes to sort of these rebuilds, you need to start seeing progress. You need to start seeing intent. And I do think we saw that from those teams, and very interested to sort of see in the next weekend how that still starts to jump. Because obviously this is another first weekend. Things are always going to be quite rusty. Things are always going to take a while to get going. And I think this weekend will probably be a better reflection of where the teams are at. And if you look at the fixtures, for example, it should really allow that, with England taking on Wales, 2 of the teams mentioned in this kind of rebuild. Attrican as well, though, so, Warren Gatland slammed as well, so I'd say, it was one of the worst first halves rugby's ever seen. He does not accept mediocrity. He's a very, very competitive coach, and he demands really high standards from all his players. So I think that whilst they did almost had a very impressive comeback, Warren Gatland would view that as a loss. He won't say so. I think they were good. I think they were positive to take out, but he'll never accept those. I don't think he'll ever come out and say that they were positives, because he was so angry at how badly they played initially. But I do think that they are going to progress quite nicely over the Six Nations, and I'm also very interested to see how this England squad goes. Very new look England squad in terms of, no Aaron Farrell, no Vinopolis, no Courtney Laws, no, at the moment, no Tuolagi as well. So quite a few big name players, no Ben Youngs. Players who have sort of always been consistently playing for England, no longer in the mix, and that for me is going to make for a very interesting few months ahead. So that pretty much really sort of sums it up across to all the various rugby news in terms of this weekend. Another weekend of just Six Nations rugby, so nothing else. No URC, no EPCR, for example. We've got Varsity Cup, which by the way starts in a few weeks' time. We've got a big announcement regarding that coming up very soon. The URC will return the following weekend. So once again, all our attention will be fixed on the Six Nations weekend. But so you can go and check out all of that. By the way, Rusty Russ has posted an interesting one. He's posted some images of some of the burn marks from that chemical burn he had, which look a bit nasty. The good news is that he is okay and he's recovering well. But yeah, you can go check that out on Twitter. I'm not going to show those images. They're a little bit grotesque. It's not great viewing, to be perfectly honest. So, but yeah, he has posted an update, which obviously means that things are going quite well if he's happy to post that and sort of show where he is at the moment. People, thank you very much. A bit of a short show today. We'll sort of get back to normal programming in the next couple of days. We kind of get this thing going once again. So thank you very much for joining me. And we will be back tomorrow, 1 o'clock, same time, same place. So you can get involved and ask me some questions, stuff like that. And we'll go through all the various news that happens between now and tomorrow. Hopefully there's some. But if you are new, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve.